Not About Me originally started with a dream that I could help people, that somehow through my struggles and through the struggles of my mom, who was bipolar and ended up committing suicide, um, I guess a question I stated to myself was, how can I reach out to people and help people who do struggle with mental illness, and also who struggle with identity. The show has LGBTQ themes in it. It's really kind of fighting for the underdog a little bit. Um, I think there's a lot on TV and social media and film and plays. Like there's so much about these topics, but I don't really think we're there yet. I think that it's going to be a constant struggle to keep um, these topics necessary. And I think the more we can do with them and the more we can put them in the forefront and put them in the spotlight, the better. I don't really think there's too much to this. I think that if you have a great story and you have a great cast and you have great characters, and I think bringing up these topics is absolutely necessary, at for right now specifically, but also in the long term, because these themes are always going to be relevant to the world. These feelings of feeling like an outsider or feeling like you're too much. When it comes to people with mental illness, I myself have mental illness, and there are many times um, there are many times I feel like I'm a burden to people, that I'm somehow not normal. And I think that's a question that Thomas, our lead character, questions on a daily basis. I mean, he's also very young, he's 21, and I remember being 21, and I had so many of these similar thoughts. Like, yeah, I remember being young and feeling like I just don't fit in. And like, I remember asking myself when I was younger, like, where's the box that I fit in? Where in society, where in, with the issues that I had struggling with my mental health and the issues I had struggling with, being gay, where's my, where do I belong? And I think that's a question that we can only ask ourselves. I think that only we can answer. I don't think that there's a yes or no, right or wrong answer for that. And I think everybody will find their tribe, find the people that, whether hopefully it's family, hopefully, biological family are accepting. But if not, there are so many other avenues. There are so many other people in this world who will understand you and will support you. Um, I really hope if someone were to watch this that they would kind of take away that, I know this sounds redundant, but you're not alone. There are so many people who deal with similar issues as you. And there are people who care, who genuinely care, and who are out there. And it's just a matter of truly being you, like not looking at the world and comparing yourself to every person out there, not looking, at Bob or Jim or Joe and saying, "Oh, I don't have that haircut. I don't have that. I don't walk like that. I don't talk like that." Because I think we all of us kind of idolize people. We all kind of look up to certain genres of people, and I think there's a constant comparison to, am I like this? Am I like this? Am I correct? Am I wrong? But at the end of the day, only you can be you. And I think, especially for all the main characters in this show, they're all struggling to find their identity. They're all struggling to find their place in the world. So I really feel like it's a universal kind of concept that even though these characters are struggling in their own sense, and every audience member may not connect to that specific struggle, but I think that at the end of the day, there's something to connect to. And that's my hope as the writer, is that I created characters who are relatable and universal, and who we genuinely care about and really see some aspect of ourselves in. Because when I've read, whether I read novels or see films or watch TV shows, I think really great writing and really great character development and storytelling is, for instance, you don't have to be on Mars. You don't have to be in space to connect to those characters. You don't have to be in a war to understand what those characters are going through. You don't have to be in some futuristic land but the amazing thing about those writers and about those storytellers is you can place those characters in any situation and you understand them still. You understand their struggles, you understand their world. And I think, Thomas and Brett and Jenny and Paul and Dr. Robbins, they are all just doing their best. At any single moment of the day, they are just trying to survive, to move forward, to find a light at the end of the tunnel. And that's not easy, but it's necessary. And I think we all do it intrinsically. We wake up, we face the world, we have really bad days, we have good days, we have days in between. But I hope that I hope that everybody can find solace and peace through watching this show. I hope I've done a good job of mixing drama with comedy and told an interesting, intriguing story with compelling characters who really embody different aspects of everybody. Every character kind of comes from a mix somehow of some type of characters or person. You don't really need to be a part of one of those communities to really connect to the story. And that's my hope, is that everybody can somehow connect to the story. A big thing too is I want to convey and hope I can convey that there is hope out there. There are people out there who will understand you, who will accept you. I think that's a huge, huge thing nowadays, is like, if you look at, the transgender community and, so many communities are being, the list could go on, and I don't have time to list them all, but, a lot of times, we go backwards, and I kind of feel like we're going backwards a little bit when it comes to many different communities, specifically marginalized communities. So I hope that a story like this can compel us forward, or can at least be a tiny little bit of the process of the whole umbrella of moving us forward and creating safety and creating allies and creating, a space where we can simply be ourselves and we don't have to apologize for it. I think we as human beings have a tendency to say, oh, well, I'm not this, or I'm not that, or I don't look this way, or I don't act this way, so I'm different. So if I'm different, then that means there's something wrong with me. And I think that going in, if you look at the past and you look at us now, we've made gains in many of these marginalized communities. We've gone way backwards in a lot of these communities. But I think at the end of the day, we do move forward. There are people in this world who fight, who are fearless, and who are unapologetic, and do everything in their absolute power to move forward, to take these communities and plow forward and make change. There will always be those people who are fighters. And then there will also be people who are very afraid of standing up for themselves, or feeling that they are worth, that their lives are worth living, or that their voice is worth hearing. So that's another thing with this show, is I hope I can inspire people to speak up. Because there's not a lot of people out there who are like those voices that can plow through and move forward and create change. I think we're all creating change in our tiny little own way. And if you look at the characters in this story, I think they're all trying to move forward to the best of their ability. And they're all trying to make change, whether it's in the world or in their personal lives. And that kind of through line of creating change, creating acceptance, creating, this may sound cliche, but creating a beautiful world where we can all exist as one. That's like the dream, right? But in order to get there, if we ever get there, I think there are so many important stories to tell along the way. And if it weren't for these stories, if it weren't for the beautiful, incredible novels that are written every day, if it weren't for all the incredible, fabulous shows that are put on streaming services, whether they're film or television or whatever, that's what people see, or read or see. Those are the things that go into their brains on a daily basis. Do you have a favorite show? You have a favorite book? That's the intake. Even social media, we're in this constant intake of influx of information. So I think there will come a point where people kind of really get very overwhelmed with all of the craziness that they're being fueled and that is being funneled to them on a daily basis. But I think stripping it down to the bare bones is very important. Taking these incredibly complex, or taking the incredibly complex world that we live in, and stripping it down to who are we, why are we here, what do we want, and how can we move forward, taking all of those elements, how can we move forward into a place of peace, a place of acceptance, specifically self-acceptance. I think self-acceptance is a big thing. I think nobody in the world is ever going to accept you to, they may say they do, they may want to, some may, but I think in the long run, or in broader terms, we really have to kind of find our own place, find our own path, fight for our future. And if we don't do that, no one's really going to do that for us. So I think self-acceptance, self-worth, finding the strength inside of ourselves to say, you know what, this is a hard day. I'm having a really shitty day right now, but tomorrow's a new day. And even 5 minutes from now will be different than it was 5 minutes before now. So kind of putting things in perspective, I think that's one of the things Thomas does, is he has to really, he's in a minute to minute, moment to moment basis, because his mood swings and his depression and anxiety and the bipolar and everything is on such a manic or depressive spectrum. Every moment needs to be treated differently. And I don't want to say analyzed, but needs to be treated as though there is, this is so cliche, but that there is hope at the end of the day. When he goes through a manic episode, he doesn't want that. That's not something he woke up in the morning and said, yeah, let's have a crazy manic episode today. No, that's part of brain chemistry. That's scientific, that's what is happening to him that he doesn't have control over. I don't think anyone would say, let's have a manic episode in a restaurant and embarrass myself and have people look or whatever. And yes, we do have medications nowadays. Personally, I say to everybody out there, do what you feel is right. If you don't want to go on medication and you can find other ways of coping I mean, this is specifically to people who deal with severe mental illness. You know, I have found for me, medication is very helpful, but also is meditation and yoga and going for long walks, um, and also not isolating yourself. You know, because I think human connection and human relationships are so important, but I think for people who deal with some of these extreme issues, there can be a level of embarrassment, a level of exhaustion, a level of just, I really need to be alone right now. And I think everyone has those moments of needing to be alone, but I think a lot of times for people with these conditions, they isolate so much, they don't reach out. So once again, I would kind of say find your tribe, find the people who will give you space when you need it, but will also show up for you. And who will also say, hey, how's your day going? Are you having a hard day? I want to be there for you. Give me a call. You know, that is like those little tiny things in life are so rare, I think, to find someone who, you know, everyone's so busy, but finding someone who's going to reach out to you and say, hey, like, thinking about you, hope you're having a great day. And I always go back to Thomas because I think that is who he is. He's the most mentally tortured, but he's also, I don't want to say the kindest, but let's just go with the kindest, most loving, most compassionate character we have. So it's a really interesting juxtaposition because I wanted to create conflict for him, but I also wanted to find the joy and the hope for him. And I really do believe that, I mean, yes, he drives the story forward and he is the main character, but at the same time, everything, you know, every little thing he does affects everybody else. And what everybody else does and their actions and their thoughts and their feelings and, you know, the actions that they take, whether it's toward Thomas or towards something else, affects Thomas very deeply because he is so emotionally sensitive. So I think another thing I'd like for people to take away from it is that it's okay to be sensitive. It's okay to need a break. It's okay to sit down or it's okay to be like, look, like the world is overwhelming. I'm tired. I need a break and to sleep for a couple days if you need to. Like, I think all of this comes down to like not judging yourself because we all judge ourselves. And the more we judge ourselves, the more we feel we're not enough or we're not the same as everybody else. And yes, people with certain conditions are not the same as everybody else, but they should be treated as if they are. And at the end of the day, I really hope people realize that you are seen, you are heard, people love you, especially if it doesn't seem that way right now, because the right people will come into your life and stay, and the people who are not meant to will just kind of somehow glide away or just pass away. But believing in yourself and finding your community and finding self-love and self-acceptance and self-worth are not easy. But I think if that's an intention that we have every day to find love in our lives and to find the hope of hey, like today can be better, today can be different, I can wake up, I can move forward, I can do this. I hope that's something people will take away from the show, and also really take away the idea that you're not alone. I will always go back to that, as you're not alone in this world, and you never have been and you never will be.